Welcome to Devlog number 5 of Blind Hunt VR. Today I'm going to be running through some of the recent changes I've been making since the playtest phase began. So the first change I made was the character for the AI. So as you could have seen in the previous video, the AI was just a capsule that would follow the player around. But now the player actually has a model. So I'll show you here the prefab model here, which I used Meshy AI to generate the model. I did actually end up changing the mesh topology from triangle to quads, as this saved a lot of resources when actually running the game. As I found with the triangle topology, the game was taking a while to load into the scene when switching, and it was using a lot more megabytes for the game installation. So I rigged the model myself in Blender and then used a plugin called Rococo to retarget animations that I downloaded from Mixamo, which allowed me to introduce more realistic animations to the character. I really wanted the character to be quite scary for players, as this would fit the horror theme for Blind Hunt VR. So I wanted players to actually fear the AI character, and so I used a ogre walk animation from Mixamo for the walking, and then for the idle, when the AI player isn't moving, they have the ogre stance idle animation. One of the main things that was said in the playtesting was the lack of awareness of the generators. And so I've now introduced tutorials at the main menu screen, which allows players to see what their main objectives are and how to get out of the map. I've also introduced sounds which have a mesh component, which basically uh, allow sounds to travel from the generator handle to the player. So they get a real sense of direction to where the generator is. And I've attached a script to this which handles the collision. So when the sound collides with the player collider, it will destroy the object. And then in the game manager object, I've got a new script called a generator spawner, which basically allows the spawning of the generator audio prefab with the audio source attached, which will spawn it at the generator and travel towards the player. You can change the spawn interval of the audios as well. So if you just wanted one to spawn at a time, it would just spawn one sound. But I've set it to 2 at the moment so that it's a bit clearer for players to actually find the generator, as you'll have multiple noises coming from the same sort of direction. And they update every frame so that they will constantly know the player's position if the player's moving, as before they would just go to the player position and then they'd stand there. Uh, Whereas now they can move towards the player constantly. In addition to this, I've now added a countdown HUD. So basically, when the player starts the game, they're not starting straight into the game. They're allowed 5 seconds of time, which plays a sound effect as well as showing a UI on the screen. And then at the end of the time, the AI player will actually spawn in on the spawn point, and the game will commence. This allows the player to have a bit more time to prepare, whereas before, obviously, the player was just going straight into the game. Some people during the playtest also mentioned they wanted the ability to distract the AI player, and so I've implemented a throwable bottle, which basically has a rigid body and a XR grab interactable component attached. So you can pick it up with the controllers, so that when you throw it, it will use the rigid body to create a realistic effect of throwing the bottle. And then I've created a destructible script, which basically destroys the original bottle prefab and then replaces it with a destroyed version so that it's no longer pick upable and it will look like smashed glass on the floor. This also emits a sound of the glass breaking and then alerts the AI player using the emit sound function. And then finally, some players were a bit confused on when the AI player actually reached them, as it jumps straight from the gameplay to the end screen when the player collided with the AI player. And so now I've introduced a animation that shows like a glitch effect to really show that the player has been caught and that the player has now been uploaded. As basically the gameplay of this is that the player must escape the virtual simulation. I've now filled out the scene as well, so there's multiple objects for the player to hide in between and in, multiple rooms that the player can hide in, as well as uh, audio sources which allow the player to get a sense of direction of where they need to go and where they are on the map without always using visual components. To explore other options other than just using visual awareness. And finally, I've just made some visual changes such as the waterfall in the level 1 map and the bird model. So it doesn't just have a sphere model, it actually has a model which has a flapping wings animation so that when it flies away, it looks realistic. I've also added a new model for the generator, just created that in Blender as well. That about wraps up the devlog for today. I'll be moving on to the release stage now, where I'll be doing a few final adjustments after some more playtesting. And I will now be moving on to releasing the game on itch and SideQuest. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.